Welcome back to the Robbins Business Show. Great to have you back. We've got a terrific episode tonight for you, a very special guest. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. But first, we want to tell you that the Robbins Show is all about developing your best business ideas. And the background behind our show is to discuss ways of upgrading existing businesses or starting brand new businesses, all aimed at providing long-term career opportunities and higher paying jobs for young people. And so tonight, I am your host, Bill Fox, and the co-host is the inimitable Cliff Robbins.
Bill, how are you?
Great.
Good to see you.
Great. You look quite trim for being so busy as you are.
I've been very busy lately, enjoying some of it, actually.
Cliff has been, I can tell you, he's been extremely busy. I don't know how he stays on it, but...
Do I look tired?
Your wife gives you Wheaties in the morning.
Yes, she does, and oatmeal.
Yeah. Tonight, Cliff, I want to talk to you a little. We did an episode on business plans. Not just saying, well, you got to have a business plan, but how do you build one?
Right.
How do you build one? But I wanted to get you to comment tonight because there's such a thing as known as the 4 big fat business plan lies. Lies, misunderstandings.
No, lies.
Lies. Okay. There are some ideas out there about business plans that are erroneous that you need to know about. I want to get Cliff's take on that tonight. And Cliff, the first one that I want you to talk to us about is the first lie about business plans. It's a big deal. It's hard to do.
It's not a big deal. It's not hard to do, and you darn right better do it. If you understand the business you're trying to start, if you sit down and block out some time and focus your effort on thinking through all the different facets that a business plan requires, there are all kinds of templates out there. You can go to a bookstore and get a business plan guide. You can go online. You can go to our website. You can go to the SBA website.
Go to Staples.
Go to Staples and buy a software package. Sure. A Business Plan Pro is one. I mean, there are many, many of them. There are plenty of good guides to help you focus on all the different sections that are required in a complete business plan. And it is not hard to do. I say to people, it's like eating a bowl of peas. Yeah. You just eat them one at a time. There's nothing in the business plan that you can't do.
And you tailor it to your needs. And
Absolutely.
It doesn't have to be a 5-inch thick government document by any means. In fact, we had an episode about business plan called the one-page business plan.
Right.
One-page
yeah, it doesn't require thud value.
Well, you did that on purpose.
Absolutely. It does not require thud value. You know what thud value is? That's when my students give me a 46-page paper when 2 pages could have said the same thing.
Okay, let's move on to number 2. Big lie number 2. Get this one, Cliff. This is, you're not supposed to change it.
If you don't change it, the world is going to change on you. You know what Eisenhower said? Planning a battle is critical. And that plan is in place right up until the time the battle starts. Okay? Yeah. And then things are going to change out in the theater, and you're going to have to adjust that plan as you go, because you're doing your best planning to see, knowing what you know now before the battle starts, here's how we're going to do what we think we're going to do to gain our objectives. But as he said, the minute the battle starts, you better be prepared to make the necessary changes that will lead you to success.
Also, you know, you got to realize your competition hasn't read your plan, so they don't know what part they're supposed to play.
And I don't think you want to give it to them, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, right. Okay. Let's move on to number 3 and get your comments. Number 3. Lots of successful businesses did not have a plan.
Oh, lots. I'm sure there are some successful businesses out there that did not have and do not have a written business plan. Okay, but that's also possibly why 80% of small businesses that start up today will fail in the next 3 or 4 years because they didn't have a plan, quite frankly. Sure, you know, Babe Ruth didn't train. He trained on hot dogs. That was 100 years ago, folks. This is a new world. The athletes that are out there now are all competing to the highest level that they can, and they are training hard. Some of them are taking steroids, as we know. That might be taking training too far. But as far as writing a business plan for your business, if you don't do it and your competitor does it, you're going to lose.
Okay, good. And the and number 4 big lie is, well, business plans are for startups.
Well, they are for startups. That's like a half a lie. I would say that it's a lie if it says business plans are only for startups. Well, they're not only for startups. Certainly, a startup, you realize when you're starting your business, you want to have a plan. You're going into battle here. You're going to wage war on the economy to try to win customers. That's what you're trying to do. But part of the other lie that says the plan's not going to change, things are going to change. You've got to be aware of the planning and the organizing and the leadership you're providing the company, and paying attention to the control function in management and making sure that you are witnessing what's going on and where you plan to be. And if you're there, great, maybe you can do some things better based on the plan. And if you're not there, maybe you have to do some things differently to get to where you want to be in the development of your own business. So yeah, business plans are for startups. Business plans are for medium-sized, fast-growing companies, slow-growing companies. And everybody knows big companies have business plans. That's how they got big.
Look, yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, anyone who even begins to think that that medium-sized or large businesses, do not bother to have a plan is someone who simply does not know the business scene. I mean, that's
absolutely correct.
It's a preposterous.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy to even think of any of those 4 things as a rule. They're absolute lies. Call them what they are. They're lies.
Okay, Cliff. Thanks for talking to us about that. And we want to turn to the regular segment of the Fox Robbins Business Show, which is called Cliff's Notes. And this is the part where we take advantage of Cliff, who is part of the Massachusetts Small Business Development Center Network.
You got it, yeah.
That baby name.
I was with the company for 2 years before I was able to put those words in the right order.
Well, I've been practicing.
You're doing a great job.
And Cliff, as such, the point is, Cliff, he travels constantly. He's constantly meeting new people, advising businesses. It must be well over 1,700.
1,750 last week.
Yeah.
We're keeping track now.
The people who are either an existing business or are starting up, whatever the case might be. And you take them as they come and advise them. And so you travel and you have a finger on the pulse of the business scene. Cliff, what do you got for us today in Cliff's Notes?
Well, continuing the theme of business planning, I'd like to talk a little bit more about writing a business plan. A lot of people will ask me, who can I hire to write a business plan? And I say to them, the most important person that you can hire to write the business plan is the guy that's going to be facing you in the mirror in the bathroom tomorrow morning. When you're looking in that mirror, you're looking at the person who should be writing your business plan. You've got to sit down. You've got to know everything there is to know about your business, the business's profile, the market's profile, everything you can learn about the competitive landscape, everything that you can put down and as far as financials go, setting goals and objectives for this business. This is only your job. Now, you can hire somebody that can help you. You can come to the SBDC, you can come to the Entre Center, I can help you. You can go to a SCORE counselor, they can help you. There's plenty of people out there that can help you do this, and I really need to tell you, you got to write the business plan yourself. You're putting something into the plan that's part of your vision, your passion, and only you can do that. An outside agent can only be a facilitator and a guide. Now, the other thing I'd like to talk about is the fact that it's not necessarily just the document you wind up with. The important thing about writing a business plan is the structural thinking process that you put yourself through and the learning you're going to gain as you sit down and write this business plan and do the work. If the 4-letter word work scares you, keep your day job. And do the work and put yourself through this process of understanding every facet that you're going to need to understand how to operate this business. As Mr. Gerber says in the book, The E-Myth, too many people start businesses because they have a technical skill. They know how to bake a pie, they know how to write software, but but they don't necessarily know all of the functional areas about how to run a business, and that's okay. But by putting yourself through the process of writing a business plan, you're going to learn a lot about all the different functional areas that have to do with writing your business plan. Now, a business plan is a living, breathing document. It is going to change. You can thank Mr. Gates for cutting, pasting in Microsoft Word. It is so simple today to change your business plan. 20 years ago, when we wrote business plans, we used to do it in a loose leaf. I'm showing my age. We used to do it in a loose leaf binder.
Loose leaf, what's that? Oh.
It's a long story.
Yeah, okay.
And it used to be triple spaced. And I used to take our business plan, and I built 3 different companies, and I would make notes in it constantly in red. And then when the page got really messy, I'd rip it out, I'd give it to my administrative assistant, Jenny, God love her, and I'd hear that Selectrix, I'm really showing my age now, that Selectrix typewriter in the other room, and then she'd bring that back in and put, you know how easy it is to change your business plan, to cut, to paste, and to use it as a guide so that you're reaching your goals and your objectives. I want to talk about change. Last thing I want to talk about tonight in Cliff's Notes is change. There is a wonderful expression that I now have as part of my signature in my email, and it comes from, of course, Mr. Peter Drucker, the most prolific writer of business literature that ever lived on this planet. And it says, change is not necessary because survival is not necessary. Okay? So if you don't want to change, you probably won't survive. So please, write the business plan, take the time, work the business plan. It is your roadmap to your future. Hopefully, it's your roadmap to success.
That's great, Cliff. Thank you. And I told some guy a long time ago, I said, you get somebody to write your business plan is like sending somebody out to get a haircut for you. It's stupid. But as also I said, it's amazing if you go through the process, you follow Cliff, and you prepare a plan, you're going to discover something. You're going to discover that all these great ideas that you have swimming around in your head, when you have to commit them to paper, is a whole nother story. It's amazing. It's an amazing process. You have to go through it to feel it. That discipline of putting it in an orderly logic, in a plan, is very revealing, showing you where you're going too far, too short, too wide.
You overlooked this.
And you overlooked this.
Realize,
that's right. So
and better to do it on paper. Right. Because if you do it on paper, you haven't lost any money.
That's right. Okay, tonight we got I said earlier, we have a great show because we have a very special person on tonight. We have Wendy Northcross, and she is the CEO of Cape Cod Chamber of Commerce. Do you know Wendy? Maybe, many of you do, some of you don't. If you don't, get to meet her. She's very accessible and very important to the future of Cape Cod. If you don't know it, learn it tonight. Actually, Wendy grew up here on Cape Cod. I mean, she said she wasn't born here. She said that in a very low voice, but Cliff said, no, if you washed ashore, that's okay.
That's right. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that on Cape Cod. But she went to Dennis Yarmouth High School, and she went to 4Cs, Cape Cod Community College. And then she has experience, a background in retail, in banking, and insurance. Boy, that's a tough road to hoe. All of those are tough.
Good. So those are good training grounds.
She has to know something, right?
That's why she's in charge of the chamber now. She knows all of those things.
She has been in the chamber business, so to speak, for about 12 years, or 20 years, excuse me, but the Cape Cod Chamber for 12 years, or whatever. So, but she's a mover. It's trite, I know, but she's a mover and shaker.
Well, you know what I said last week in the show? Next week we're having one of the 2 Wendy. There's got to be 2 of her. Everywhere I go, I see Wendy Northcross, right? So I said, there's got to be 2 of her, right?
Well, she's on tonight to help us on this episode. She was also an inspiration for this show because there was the Cape Cod Economic Summit back in October '07. She was a sponsor. She and the chamber and others were a sponsor of that. And afterwards, after hearing all the discussion, Wendy Northcross herself said, "Yeah, the Cape has a lot of issues, and that's all well and fine. But the question is, what are you going to do about it?"
A bit about the Cape Cod Chamber of Commerce, its mission,
Okay.
your vision for where it's going.
Well, it's a collective vision, actually, and that's the great thing about a Chamber of Commerce is it's a bunch of competitors in business who come together to work on like issues, which is really kind of interesting and strange if you really think about it. You know, you could be sitting there next to your competitive restaurant tour and he's working shoulder to shoulder with you on something that's going to help both of your businesses. So
Solve the community's business problem, right?
absolutely.
Yep.
The Cape Cod Chamber, for those who don't know, was formed in 1921. It was formed by some fathers in industry.
Yeah.
They did have one female participant on the board, and she was the secretary. They allowed her to take the notes and keep the minutes and all that.
usual.
But that was Mrs. Baker, who started Colonial Candle.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so very interesting history. But the Cape Cod Chamber got formed around the issues of the Cape's transition in its economy. In that time, fishing and agriculture was kind of going away as a form of making a living.
Oh, really? This is interesting. I didn't know that.
Yep. And the business community said, what are we going to do? Those jobs are going away. We have to transition. We have to find the next new economy. And tourism looks like it might hold some promise, but
Just a little, huh?
there's no infrastructure and there's no overarching agency to promote it, and there's very little product on the Cape in terms. There's a few hotels, but nothing like you would find, a few decades later.
Yeah.
So they launched the Cape Cod Chamber of Commerce, and one of the first things the chamber did was work to get rid of mosquitoes on Cape Cod.
Good.
Oh.
That'll
Yeah.
help people come down here and enjoy the
There
beaches
you,
more.
that's exactly right.
Smart.
So the mosquito problem was addressed, but they worked on some other things too. One of the other things that people don't really understand, because you think of the chamber, paving over paradise, bringing all these people here.
Yeah.
The Cape Cod Chamber actually was responsible for the laws that are still on the books today that prevent billboards from being erected on
Advocacy.
Cape Cod.
Good.
They wanted the Cape to become, or to remain actually, a beautiful place, some place that people would be drawn to, because we needed to diversify the population.
Right.
We were fishermen and farmers, and we needed new types of industries.
This
So
sounds familiar. Have we
doesn't
gone
it
full
sound
circle?
familiar? That's exactly why I
Right.
bring it up. So
Yeah.
here we are, 87 years later, on the threshold of very similar changes, very dynamic changes in our community, and saying, the tourism thing's been good. It's fed us quite well for the last 80-something years, but that's changing now too. And it can't be our sole sustenance. We have to diversify our economy. We have to find new economic opportunities. So the Cape Cod Chamber is essentially about economic opportunity.
Excellent, thank you. I did not know
Isn't that
that
interesting
history,
story?
and it sounds like things have come full circle, as you say. That can only take us, tourism can only take us so far.
So far.
And,
And it's a good thing. And we're
yeah.
not going to abandon it by any means.
Absolutely not,
Absolutely
because
not.
it's still a mainstay of this beautiful
That's right.
island we live on,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's an island now that
It
we have the
is.
canal, right?
It is.
But there are so many more things that we can do here on the Cape, and that's what
Correct.
the Chamber's about,
Right.
and that's what we're about. So tell us about some of the things that you get, the benefits of joining the Chamber.
Absolutely. And I think, I'm going to just refer to my notes because we do an awful lot of work in the community, and we do cover all of Barnstable County. Sometimes people get confused. Every single community has a local chamber of commerce
Right.
as well, and that local chamber plays a great role in its community, its
Wendy,
sphere of
is that true? We
influence.
have 15 communities. Are there
Yes.
really 15
There
chambers?
are, and as a matter of fact, the Canal Region Chamber encompasses 3 communities, Bourne, Sandwich, and Wareham, along the Cape Cod Canal.
Right.
But the reason for that is quite honestly, we have strong municipal government, and home rule is very strong in our state. So you have a sitting town meeting, or in Barnstable Town Hall, the town council meets, constantly, and they're legislating things that businesses need to keep an eye on. So there's an advocacy role on a
Right.
town level.
Well, for you to be successful,
we-
you have to be a team builder, because you can't be
Yes.
in war with all
No.
of those chambers.
No, you have to find, sometimes on public policy issues we may disagree a little bit because we're always taking the regional view, what's
Right.
best for the entire peninsula, the entire island.
Yeah.
But, and sometimes we'll maybe have a friendly disagreement, but we work pretty closely together.
There's nothing wrong with disagreement. Like Al Zane said when I said he was the CEO of Gillette and I was doing some consulting there. I said, gee, Mr. Zane, I hated to say this. I disagree with your thinking on that. He said, look, buddy, I ain't paying you to agree with me all the time. You tell me what you think. And I told him, and then he still disagreed. He won. He's the CEO of the company.
Well, you know, that's what comes with the territory.
That's right.
But what's interesting, you know, one of the things that a chamber can do is pulls people together. Like I said, we're a group of competitors in a lot of sense, but people come together to meet, to work together, to network. I think, you know, you've brought it up multiple times. You get into a group of like businesses that understand what you're going through on a day-to-day basis, may be able to help you find new markets and customers, they may be your next customer. They may be able to get you a less expensive resource for your goods and services. So coming together and networking and meeting people in meetings and events and through the website, through email opportunities is a real tangible benefit. Some of the other programs that the Chamber does, so we work on economic development programs. We like to think that we play a role training businesses. And then we also play a role with the business's workforce. So we've been doing a lot on the workforce front in the last few years, and ironically, leading up to the last couple of years, we've had full employment here. We've had not enough workers here for peak season employment. So that's been an issue that we've addressed, but we've constantly worked at trying to increase the skills of local, not just the business owners, but the people working for them, so that they can grow in their job and they can grow in their pay scale and their career ladder. And that's a very important role that the Cape Cod Chamber plays. There's a couple of ways that we deliver that service I'll talk about in a minute. Some of the other things that we do is we consistently look at the big picture. What's the economy of Cape Cod doing? What's happening now? We measure what's going on. We anticipate what's going on. We're trying to help people with their marketing information or feed them some kind of indicators of what to expect, you know, in the near term for the most part. But we do that in tandem with trying to create new customers and create new markets for a lot of our businesses. Very important in the work we do in promoting tourism to the region. We are recipients of a significant tourism grant every year that is earmarked solely for the purposes of promoting Cape Cod as a visitor destination. So
a short trip to far away?
A short trip to far away. I mean, our target market, we're so fortunate. We have 30 million people that live within an 8-hour drive. There's always somebody that needs to go on vacation. It's going to have special implications for us this year, but that's creating customers for our businesses. That's creating new markets for our members. And so we work very hard at that. We also work to help our businesses understand the implications of public policy. If there's a new law coming on the books, do they fully understand it? Last year, actually the last 2 years, spent a lot of time explaining the new healthcare laws.
You actually had somebody on your staff that could explain that very fast changing and very complicated healthcare law.
Had implications for everyone, and it's rather complicated. And when you start to apply it to your individual business, especially if you had seasonal fluctuations in your employee count, really tough. So we invested in the time and the resources so people could come in and figure it out. Stay out of jail.
Exactly. They'd ask me and say, "What about this new law?" I say, "Call the chamber. Call the Cape Cod Chamber. They got somebody that can explain it to you." I could explain it to you, but what I explained to you was 2 weeks old, and it was changing that quickly.
And it's still changing. But there's other categories too, like the hazard insurance issues that have really impacted Cape Cod. Not just the homeowners insurance is going up, but the commercial and industrial policies have been really whacked by the projection of the 100-year storm that's yet to hit.
And probably won't.
And things that we've done a lot on the transportation front. We really worked hard to get rid of the Sagamore Rotary and lobby for the resources for that.
Can I thank you personally? Because when I head up to Plymouth to do my counseling, I just breeze right through.
Isn't it amazing?
It's amazing.
It is amazing. So advocacy for things like that, advocacy for things like broadband. If we had bigger internet pipeline coming onto the Cape, we could deliver a lot of product off the Cape and tap into the rich talent of folks that live here, you know?
Isn't an open Cape Cod going to help that, Wendy?
Absolutely. And we applaud that effort, and we've actually worked pretty hard to support that and lobby for the funding for that. Even as recently as a week ago, we met with the Senate President, and we were hoping that we could advocate for some of the stimulus package money that's coming from Washington, D.C.
Right.
to get some of that. We want some of the cookies out of that cookie jar on
That's
Cape
right.
Cod.
Yeah, why not?
You know?
We put a lot of the cookies in there.
Those are our cookies. We want a few
Bring 'em
back.
back.
You know? So, but you know, we want things that we think could, you know, create some near-term jobs, but then would have a long-term effect. You build that infrastructure. It's going to create a job for you while we're building it.
Right.
But down the line, you know, MBL, Marine Biological Laboratories, Gary Borsey, Dr. Borsey sits on our board of directors. There are contracts that they can't take because they can't deliver the
Right.
end product because the pipeline's not big enough to push this
To
through
push the
the
information
internet.
out. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I know.
You know, so
It is crazy.
so things like that, and I think that sometimes the chamber's voice is important. It's the voice of the business community. We have a well-respected board of business leaders. We have 30 directors, geographically dispersed, industry diverse, and people listen. You know,
Excellent.
people listen.
Cross-functional,
So,
huh?
yeah, but we deliver all this stuff in very interesting ways, and you're one of our tools here, Cliff. We
At the
have
Entre Center.
the Entre Center.
Right.
We actually did a whole feasibility study years ago about building an incubator, and a lot of money, finally decided no bricks and mortar.
Right.
Just get the services to the business
There you
person
go.
or the potential entrepreneur. Get them the
Efficiently.
services.
Right.
And one of the things they need is a business plan.
Right.
You know, and I'm sorry, nonprofits need that business
Absolutely.
plan. Anybody that's doing, you know, we have a business plan that we look at pretty constantly. We used to do the 5-year plan. You do like the 6-month plan
Yeah,
now.
right,
It's
yeah.
like
6 months,
this
yeah, right.
constantly
Things are changing
moving
pretty
animal.
quickly, right.
Absolutely.
Right,
You have
that's right.
to. You have to. But if you don't have a plan,
You're
you're not
planning to
going
fail.
anywhere. Yeah,
Right.
you don't know where you're going to go, and you don't
That's
even
right.
know if you're off plan or need to adjust. But we help people build those plans. We help them understand who their customer is or their potential customer. We'll help train them through a series of things, either the one-on-one counseling,
Right.
you know,
The training
the weekly
programs.
meetings,
Right.
as you call
Yeah,
them.
right. The
we'll-
weekly beatings, I say. Yeah, right.
The weekly beatings.
Yeah.
You say that lovingly,
I
though,
do.
don't you,
I
Cliff?
do.
That's right.
Like I said, they'll call my office. They'll say, "Tammy, I've got to see Cliff. I need another beating."
Yeah, because it's good for them.
Right.
Well, we have just started this year to do some of the service delivery over the internet through webinars,
Right.
and offering it for free.
Yep.
So if people don't have the time to come, like when we're offering a
Right.
workshop, they can go to the archives and pull that information down later. And then we do a lot of special events that people can come to, and part of special events is the people you meet there,
Right.
aside
Absolutely.
from what
The
you
networking
learn.
again, you've
to
gone full circle. Well, we've run out of time,
Wow.
and I can't believe. So you promise you'll come back?
Yeah, we have a lot to talk about.
Okay, we've
We
got
have
an
a
awful lot more to talk about, and I want to thank you very, very
Thank
much for
you.
just getting us started here, talking about the chamber, its mission, all that you're doing for the local business, the economic engine of Cape Cod. So
And I want
Wendy,
to thank you too,
thank you.
because you're doing a great job.
Thanks a
It's
lot.
a great service. Thank you.
Thank you. This is great, Wendy. Thank you very much. And you will have to, I'm sorry, you'll have to come back.
I will. I'll come
absolutely.
I
back.
mean, it's you've got so much to talk about. This is our episodes are half hour only, so they go quickly. And we'll have to, you know, I don't know, we ought to have a 3-hour one.
With her, yeah.
Anyway, thank you very much. Thank you for watching the Fox Robbins Business Show. Please send us any comments to foxrobbins@gmail.com. Or to see this show again or parts of it, please feel free to go to capemedia.org. And thank you to our director, Ivan, and to the Cape Cod Community Media Center for making this show possible. And we will see you guys next time. Thank you.
Take us.